Hello, everybody. It's Stephen here for the Idiot Quilter, and welcome to my weekly episode. This is episode number 204 for February the 7th, 2023. And let's jump right into what I have been working on. And this is the Moonstone quilt that Stephanie and I have been working with. I'm tripping over my tongue this morning. Let me start again. This is the Moonstone quilt. This is the one that Stephanie of Stephanie Stitches and I are doing as a collab and sew along with many of you out there that have joined us for it. Well, this is the final product. So this is a bit of a preview because I'll be showing this again on the live tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. with Stephanie. And I'm very pleased with the way this has turned out. I did have some problems with this when I first started it. It was a very, very easy pattern. At least I thought it was. But you know me, I can do the simplest of things with the greatest of complications. And this was one of them because I started out doing this instead of doing it in 10-inch squares as the pattern called for. I thought I'd be clever and use charm packs. And that got me into all kinds of problems. Not because they didn't go together, but because of the color combination that I had picked. So you saw the end result of that, which was a totally different quilt. And this one now is the actual size that the pattern called for. I added two borders to the outside of it, a skinny one and a wider one. And lately I have been into adding this kind of combination of borders, the skinny one and the wider one, because depending on how skinny you make the first border, it almost looks in some ways like a flange. I don't really like flanges on borders or in bindings because you got to be careful when you put them on the long arm that they don't get caught underneath the needle and you get turned back. So I'd rather do a faux flange. That's what I'm going to call it, faux flange, like I have done here. And I suppose it's really not a flange at all then, is it? It's just another border. But anyways, got it all done and I have it quilted and I've got it bound. So let's take a look at the backing. This is the backing that I used. It was a backing fabric I've had for quite a while in my stash, and I basically picked it because of the blue color more than anything else. I don't know about you, but I don't get really hung up on what I'm using for a backing on most of my quilts because you can't see the backing and the front of the quilt at the same time, usually, unless you do what I've done here in this picture. So I don't get too uptight about it. Now, the quilting didn't show up all that well on the back of this. So I do have a picture, though, of what the quilting looks like. And you can see it is very, very dense. And the reason it's dense is because I had a lot of negative space in this quilt. So a great opportunity for doing, like, if you were a free motion quilter, a lot of customization, that kind of thing. I found this particular quilting pattern on a site called My Creative Stitches, was recommended to me by Stephanie, and I'm glad she did because I really like a lot of the designs they had. And this one appealed to me because it has stars, which picks up the motif of the blocks themselves, but also the swirls that come out from the stars, which in my way of thinking, if you have a lot of straight lines or angles in a quilt top, then sometimes it's nice to use curved or more curvy types of quilting patterns. They go well with something that's very linear. And this one I think turned out really nice. And Lucy cooperated with me for the most part. So that was great. So yeah, I'm very pleased with the way this one turned out. And then I've moved on to some other projects. Now, I think I showed you this last week. It probably was only I think I only showed you the blocks. I now have it completely done in terms of the top. It has not been quilted yet or bound, but I added these borders to it. This is a Cleopatra fan, and I was trying out my AccuQuilt die for this. If I had thought about it a little bit more closely or carefully, these pieces that are up here at the top, basically the background, I would have done in a more solid reading color so that the Cleopatra fan pattern would pop out a little bit more from it. But I like this fabric and I think it's very colorful. Um, Oranges and yellows are not ones I usually turn to in my quilting. However, lately they've had more of an appeal for me, and I think maybe it's the time of the year. Um, this isn't the nicest time of the year. We're light deprived. Most days are very gray, cold, blustery, that kind of thing. So I think maybe my sense is to gravitate towards brighter, bolder, sunnier, springy summer colors like oranges and yellows. Maybe it's an unconscious decision. I don't know. But anyways, it's my story and I'm sticking to it. So I have now put this on Lucy. I did it yesterday. This is all quilted, but I'll show that probably next week, the finished version of this, because by then I will have it, well, I'm hoping today that I get this bound. And then a third project I started. Now, this one was sort of not a planned project at first. On Saturday, you know Sean, the guy who sews, he always does a live at 8 o'clock Eastern Time on Saturdays. And I love to be part of that, join into the chat and everything. I consider Sean a friend, and I've been on his show several times. Well, actually, when I got up Saturday morning, Sean had sent me a message that I did not see the night before asking if I could appear on the live. And yeah, I'd love to. But I had different plans on Saturday. I was going to a sew day at the club with Walter at about 9:30 in the morning. I had the Moonstone quilt on Lucy. I want to get a little bit more of that done before I went to the sew day. So if I went on to Sean's live, I wouldn't be able to do that. But you know, Sean usually likes to have his guest working along with him on a project. So I thought, okay, I will pull something together very quickly. Well, I have the Bearpaw AccuQuilt die. I have not used it, or at that point I had not used it yet. So I thought, this is fairly simple. I had a included pattern for this table runner that came with the die. They always include a pattern with the die in the AccuQuilt dies. And I thought, okay, before we go to air, I will cut up the pieces with the AccuQuilt, and then this is what I could be working on while we're on air. Well, anyways, no fault of Sean's or mine, just timing thing. By the time that Sean had seen that I sent him a message and said, sure, I can come on, he'd already set it up for himself to do it as just himself, and it would have been like too much chaos at the last minute to change it over, which is perfectly all right. So I had the fabric pieces all cut out for this, and while Sean was doing his live and I was, you know, joining in on the chat, I worked on this as well. And then I took the pieces with me to the sew day that we were having at the club, in case I got bored with the main project I was working on as well. So I got quite a bit of this done, at least the blocks, the paw blocks themselves done at the club that day. So then it was just a matter of, on the weekend, putting the pieces together and adding the borders, and it was quick. It was very fast. This fabric I've had in my stash for a while. I think I bought it in a place, I'm trying to remember what it's called. It's one that deals with has very trendy, modern like looking fabrics. And I bought this back when we went to the London area for our little shopping spree back in the fall. And so I thought, well, this might be fun for this quilt. And so it's a little different. You have a traditional pattern or block mixed in with a little bit more contemporary fabric, and that's fine. So this was also on Lucy yesterday, and I also quilted it at the same time that I quilted the Cleopatra fan table runner, and so it's waiting to be bound as well. So I'm hoping to get it done today or tomorrow, and both of these projects, table runners, I will be showing to you next week. Okay, so that's what I've been working on. So I've been a busy boy. So, what else is new? Well, we have the Sewers Club box for this month. It just arrived yesterday, and here it is. And this is the box for February. I have not opened it at all yet. It's been sitting on my desk since it arrived yesterday. I unsealed it, took the tape off, but I never opened up the lid. So I'm going to do that with you right now. So here we go. And as always, they have thrown in a card that tells you where all the fabrics have come from. Now, you know what my gut reaction is to this right now? I'm not really excited by the colors that are in here because I don't like pastels. And some of these are looking kind of pastel-y or kind of, you know, not as bold as I like, but let's check it out and see. So I'm going to, on this one, now, I can tell you what's in here, but it'll take all day. I'm just going to show you the fabrics, okay? And I'm a little surprised here because I thought maybe for February there'd be a little bit of a Valentine's theme, which personally I don't make things for Valentine's Day, so that's fine by me. But I'm only seeing one fabric that reads as sort of a red. That would suggest Valentine's Day. But that's just looking at what's sitting in here in the box. Let's take them out and take a look, shall we? Okay, here's the first one. Okay, greens. I don't usually go for greens. This has got kind of a nature theme to it. Well, it does have a nature theme. It's trees. Okay. On a scale of 1 to 5, I will give this a 3.5. Okay, this one's got little houses on it. And I do like little houses. And this one I think is kind of cute. I think this could be made into a cute little, you know, it might be nice to do it as one of those quilts that have houses on it somewhere, a house block, and use some of this for it, you know, a house within a house. Okay, this one I'm kind of liking. This one's growing on me very quickly. So I'll give that a 4 out of 5. Okay, now we have tea kettles or pots and things. Okay, cute. Might make nice placemat. Pot holder. I couldn't see myself doing a whole quilt in this. However, if I wanted to couple it with, say, this, if I wanted something very kind of, I don't know, country style-ish, I'm thinking out loud here. I'll give this one about a 3.5 as well. I'm rating these according to how I think I could use them and, you know, whether I'll use them. Okay. Floral. I think when I curated what I wanted, I think I said at first I think I removed floral from my choices. But then I think I put it back in. Again, small print would probably work with this one and would probably work with the houses as well. But it's not my style. Florals are really not my style. However, having said that, I love K Facet. That's a lot of florals, right? But they're bigger prints. This one I'm going to give a 3. It has some potential for me. Now, when I'm rating them, I'm not saying that I hate them. I'm just thinking, again, as I said a minute ago, how I would use them. Okay, this one, not in my wheelhouse. Not at all. No. I did check off seasonal, so this would be seasonal. This is sort of Eastery, springy. Might make a great baby quilt. I don't do baby quilts. So this one, yeah, this one is not even, and I'm not fond of lavender. I like purples, but I don't like lavenders. And there's too much pink in it for me too. This one I'm going to give a 2. Here's another one not in my color scheme. Okay. It looks to me like this box is heading towards sort of spring and Eastery kind of look. Again, it's got little chickens on it, little flowers. Not fond of the color. No, that one is a 2. Ooh, yuck. I don't like this one at all. No, it's definitely, this is a 1. This is a 1. This just screams baby. And I don't do baby quilts. Okay, moving into a different colorway. All right, a solid. Okay, solid's all right. Again, this color's not bold enough for me. However, used in conjunction with some other things, it might be okay. So as a blender, whatever, I give it a 3. Okay, this is a batik, and it's in oranges. And I said earlier that oranges and yellows now are something that seem to appeal to me. So this one I could definitely see using in something. Again, I love batiks. This one I would give a 4. Again, another floral. I'm really going to have to check my curated list. I wonder if I can change it. See if I can knock out the florals, because I'm not impressed with the florals so far that I've gotten in this. It's got some orange in the background. Of course, they do curate this so that the things go together, right? Let's get this so you can see. So these 3 would definitely go together. Might be a little overpowering in orange, but it would go together. Maybe in small quantities this would look okay. 3.5. Okay, now we're into another batik. It is a green. This one I would use. I don't usually go to greens, but I would go to this. This would work okay. I'll give that a 4. And here we have a solid. It is red. And it's a nice shade of red. So yeah, that's a 4. Now we have a stripe. I don't usually work with stripes because, stripes, well, that's got a little bit of blue going through it. That's kind of interesting. That makes it kind of interesting. The only thing about stripes is they go wonky in your quilt. If you're looking for a wonky, that'll work. But yeah, this one though, I could see using. So I'll give this about a 4. This has a lot of florals in this box. A lot of florals. I think I did say that florals were okay in the curated list. This one, although it's got little pinks in it, I like the background, the blue. Yeah, this one kind of has an appeal to it. I could see this doing this in a more traditional block. Something that looks more, maybe a little older in style, a little more vintagey. So I'll give that one a 4. I'll give that a 4. And the last one is another floral, which kind of goes with that other one. It's one thing I'll have to say about these boxes. They do coordinate the fabrics. They seem to do it in 3s or in 4s. 4 fabrics go together, another 4 go together, kind of a thing. I guess that's upside down. I guess this would be considered a directional print. Gotta watch that. I have a tendency, if I use directional prints, not to get them in the right direction. Yeah, this one is kind of like that other one I just showed you. I could see potential here with this, so I'll give it a 4. Okay, so those are the 15 fat quarters in the box for this month. Am I absolutely thrilled? No. But what will I give the box out of 5 in total? Well, based upon how usable for me these would be, how readily I can think of ways to use them, and how close they are to my usual color palette, I'm going to give this box this month a 3.5 out of 5, which kind of worries me now. This is the third box I have received from them, and this one out of the other two, in comparison to the other two that I got, this one is not, I'm not as pleased with this choice this month in this box. So having said that, I will look forward to next month. And you know that I am sort of an ambassador for Sewers Club. I have a discount code if you want to get involved with this on any of their project boxes. They have the stash box, the one that has the 15 fat quarters in it that I just showed you. They also have a project box as well. And so if it's the first time, your first time you subscribe to one of their boxes, you'll get 30% off if you use the discount code Stephen. That's Stephen with a V, my name. Yeah, you can cancel at any time, and you don't have to get it every month. There are different plans for this as well. I do feel that it's still good value. You do take your chances. Even though they do allow you to curate to the certain extent what you are getting, I'm going to have to go back in and check to see what my selections were, if there's a way I can do that. I don't know. Because I don't know what I did about floral. I think I checked it off as not, I didn't want any florals, but then I think I removed that and put it in that I did get florals. However, yeah, I do not feel that I did not get my money's worth. But we'll see. We'll see with the next box. So, as I said, if you're interested in this, you can go to their site. I have the link in the show notes. And if you decide to try it out, you can get 30% off on your first subscription, on your first order. Okay, so that's the Sewers Club. And what else happened in the last week? Well, we had Craft and Chat last week, and that was always fun. And I was looking for ideas, so I picked the brains of the people on Craft and Chat for topics for Sew and Chat, and I got a lot of ideas that I can run with, and that is great. But I'm looking for even more. So if you've got some ideas for topics that Walter and I can deal with on So Chatty, please send me an email. Email address is in the show notes, or put it as a comment here on this video. And I will definitely add it to my list and think about it. And see, when you give me ideas, I may not do exactly what you ask, but it gives me a jumping off point. It usually inspires me to think about it in another way. And that's what I need, because lately I've been having mental blocks about that. So thank you to all those that attended Craft and Chat. We had a great day. I think at the height of it, we had about 30 people. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And if you've never been to a Craft and Chat, well, the next one will be on Wednesday, March the 1st. They start at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, and all are welcome, no matter what you're working on, anything. And the more the merrier. It's very, very supportive and friendly group. You've heard me say that many times before, but it's very, very true. And the next event coming up is a pop-up sew day this coming Saturday, February the 11th, starting at 8 a.m. Eastern Time and running until approximately 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, I have not had a pop-up sew day in a while. I don't think I've had one since before Christmas. So, yeah, sorry about that, but life got in the way, as it does. But, yep, we're having one this coming Saturday. Those of you on the mailing list have already received the link, the Zoom link, and for everybody else, the Zoom link is in the show notes today. It's in the show notes for this. It'll be in the show notes for So Chatty on Friday. It'll be and it's in the show notes for my vlog that went up yesterday. So check it out. Hope you can join us. You don't have to stay all day, and you don't have to start at 8. You know, I know for those of you out on the West Coast, that would be 5 o'clock in the morning. And for those of you across the pond, it'll be later in the day. So come when you wish, leave when you wish. It's just that simple. I haven't used that expression in a while. Okay, so demos. Well, I thought for the next few weeks I would take you through my process of creating a quilt from a pattern. So I have picked a pattern for this. It's one that I've had in my project boxes that sit behind me, uh, all laid out, ready to go. The fabric was picked, hadn't been cut yet. And this one is called Star Cross by Cozy Quilts. And if you just give me a second, I'll show you what the pattern looks like. So here's the quilt, and it's called Star-Crossed, and it is a cozy quilt design. I love cozy quilt patterns because they are all written excellently, very easy to follow. And this one is one from their Strip Club pattern collection, which uses 2.5 strips. So in other words, it is jelly roll friendly. And you also have to use the strip tube ruler with this as well. But this is the one that I'm working on. So as I do each section, I record what I'm doing, and I'm going to be over the next few weeks putting that up piece by piece for you. So it's not a sew along per se, although it could be for you if you wished. And the site for this, where you can get the pattern from the cozyquilt.com, their website, I will put in the show notes, and I think it runs about $11 US for this pattern. It is not a downloadable pattern, which is unfortunate. It is one that has to come in the mail, I think. Or did I download it? Maybe I did download it. I'm just looking here to see if it tells you. Because some of them are. Yeah, you can download it. Okay, I was wrong. You can download it. Even better. I love getting patterns that way in PDF format. I don't have to wait for them to come in the mail. So, yeah, this is what I'm working on. And what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to give you a sneak peek at the first blocks. And I have a little video, the first video in the series about putting this together. So here's what one of the two main blocks look like when you have it all together. But I have a little video over the next week or two. You will see how to cut this, how to assemble it as well. So I'm going to insert my first installment of that series in here right now. I'm going to start a brand new project that I thought you might be interested in joining in. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do one of Crazy Quilt Design's quilts. I've had this set aside for a number of months. I picked a jelly roll because this particular pattern is jelly roll friendly. It says here a strip club pattern for 2.5-inch strips, and you use the strip tube ruler. A little bit more about that in a moment. But I am always very happy to do a Cozy Quilts design pattern because they are extremely well written. I have never had one yet fail. Always very easy to follow. And I printed this out. I ordered it. It is a paid design, so I'm not going to be able to give you the exact cutting measurements for this because it's a commercial pattern and that's a violation of copyright rules. But I have put in my show notes a link to this particular pattern, and it's very inexpensive. I think it's about $11 US for it if you buy it directly from the Cozy Quilt Designs website. Also, you can download it as a PDF. You can get a printed version of it for a little extra money if you wish. But, you know, in this day and age, you might as well have instantaneous gratification, right? So this is what the quilt is going to look like. And I'm kind of using the same color scheme with this simply because I had a jelly roll that had these colors in it. I have a few blues as well in mine. So let me show you the strips that I have picked out. And as I said, it is a jelly roll. And I can't tell you what this jelly roll was called. I know it is a Beneterex or whatever they call it company that made these fabrics, but I'm not sure you know, who the designers are or whatever. So I need, for this size, this one tells you that you can make a square throw, a long throw, or a queen. I'm going to make the long throw, and it's going to finish at 64 by 80 inches. So for that, it tells me I need 39 strips of fabric from my jelly roll. Well, this particular jelly roll had 40, so that was easy enough to pick out. And of course, the one thing I like about a jelly roll is everything coordinates. So I have all of these laid out for this, and then it talked in the instructions about background fabric. Now, I had a little problem with this, and I'm not sure how this is going to work out. I wanted to use this particular fabric. Again, don't ask me who this is by. I've had it in my stash. I shop my stash for this. And I really liked this, and I thought it would go well with these strips too. However, I didn't have quite enough. For this design, I had to cut a bunch of 4.5-inch strips, as you can see here. And then I had to have some 4.5-inch squares of that fabric, but I needed 3 2.5-inch strips, and I didn't have enough fabric. So I went to my stash and I found some dark browns, 3 strips of dark brown from another jelly roll, and I'm going to use those. So I'm not absolutely sure how this is going to work, but I think I can make it work okay. I've looked at the instructions for using the background fabrics, and I think this is going to work. Now, the other thing you need is, or well, they recommend, you don't need it, but it'll make your life easier if you have a strip tube ruler. And this is designed by Cozy Quilt, and I love these rulers. They make these kind of designs very easy. It comes in 2 sizes. This is the strip tube ruler, and this is the strip tube junior. I use this one a lot. I am not sure which one I'm going to use with this project yet when it comes to cutting the strips. I suspect it's probably going to be the bigger one of the two, but as I said, you don't have to have these rulers to do it, but this will make your life a heck of a lot easier. So what I plan to do for my next installment of this, because I'm going to do an installment of this pretty much every week, so you can see my progress. So in a sense, it's not really a sew along, because I'm not really going to give you much instruction. I'm just going to show you how I create this quilt. But next week, I'll have some of this sewn together, and I'll show you how to do some of the initial cutting once you have some of these pieces together. But that's for next week. So if you want to join along with this, you can purchase this pattern from Cozy Quilts Design. As I said, the link is in the show notes below. And you can sort of sew along with me if you so desire. So that takes me to Subscribers Quilt of the Week, and this lovely creation comes from Michelle Murray. This week's quilt comes from Michelle Murray, and Michelle Murray writes, I wanted to share a custom design quilt for my co-worker who loves Star Wars and the warrior character Ree. This was a belated or additional wedding gift using both their favorite colors of blue and orange. Well, this is a really pretty quilt, and I can see the Star Wars characters that you've used in some of the blocks as well. And obviously, since this was a gift and it's for people who are majorly into Star Wars, I'm sure they're going to really appreciate it. The design is relatively simple but effective, and I love the use of the oranges and the blues because it really makes your pattern pop. So thank you, Michelle, for sending this to us. It's wonderful. And the YouTube channel of the week is probably one you're very familiar with because this is someone that I think most quilters know, and it's Sew Becca, and this is my review of her YouTube channel. This week's YouTube channel of the week is one that probably doesn't need any kind of review because I'm sure many people have seen this one before, but it's called Sew Becca. And Sew Becca is one of the, what do you want to call it? One of the most familiar names amongst quilting YouTubers. And there is so much to be learned from her YouTube channel. It's very popular. So let's take a look at what you might see here on Sew Becca's channel if you don't know it already. She has a very wide selection of unboxing videos. She also has quilting projects, many live streams. She's probably most famous, I think, or at least the way I heard about it, is about her live streams. Now, I will make a confession right off the bat. I have not gone to one of her live streams, and I should try one out, because from what I hear from very reliable sources, from other content creators, her live streams are excellent. Let's just take a look at her playlist to see how things are organized. She talks about cotton cuts. She talks about Martelli. She talks about Missouri Star Quilt. She had Vlogmas as well. Lots of different boxes that she does reveals with. Sewers Club, one of the ones I'm familiar with. So yeah, So Sampler, Reeb's Stash Box, Open Gate Quilt, Ginger Quilter's Box. Quite a few right here. That must put her in the poorhouse for those subscriptions every month. And then she has many sew-alongs as well. So if you don't know of Sew Becca, now's the time to check her out. And I did reach out to Sew Becca for an interview, but we just couldn't schedule something. She is very busy right now with other projects and things like that, which is unfortunate because I think she'd make a really interesting interview. And speaking of interviews, do I have one for this week? I do not, but don't despair. I have 3 interviews coming up. One I'm conducting later today, so it'll be up next week. So over the next couple of weeks, I have several people I am interviewing, and I've put out some feelers for a few more. And a lot of this is because you have made suggestions to me. And that's great. And keep those suggestions coming. Just keep in mind my criterion. I don't want big names. I want people who have a YouTube channel, but possibly people who don't have really a huge base of subscribers yet, because I want to help them build their subscriber base as well by way of the interview. So if you have names, YouTube channels you can suggest, and I will check those out, and yeah, hopefully have some interviews, more interviews for the future. So that takes me to future projects, and this one comes from the book, the AccuQuilt book that came with the dies that Walter bought me for Christmas. And there are several really cool quilting patterns in there that I want to do. And I am a sucker for a sampler quilt. And there is one in the book called Meet Me at the Cottage that I want to do. And here's what I'm talking about. This week's future project is one that comes from a book called Quilt in a Day, Go Cube. It's a book that I got when I purchased a lot of my AccuQuilt dies. And this has a whole bunch of patterns that work with the companion sets for some of the cube sets. And this one caught my eye because it is a sampler. Of course, there's blue in it, although I wouldn't necessarily be following their color scheme. And it's called Meet Me at the Cottage. And according to the instructions in the book, this is 35 6-inch sampler blocks. So you have quite a few different looks. So I think it would be great practice in making some of the more traditional blocks. And I just love the look of a sampler quilt because, you know, there's so much to see in one. It's so eye-catching. So this is a pattern that I'll be making sometime soon, I hope, utilizing my AccuQuilt dies. And it's called, again, Meet Me at the Cottage. And now that takes me to the online quilt store of the week. And just before I talk a little bit about that, if you know of some Canadian, they have to be Canadian quilt stores that have an online presence anywhere in the country, please let me know and I will check them out and review them here for you. So yeah, please do, because I'm running out of those too. And I'm sure there are many others that I don't know about. So this is a great help. But lately I've been focusing on the ones down in the East Coast of Canada because, of course, you know, in June I am going to the East Coast of Canada, to Halifax, for the Canadian Quilt Show. So here is another East Coast quilt store called the Sewing Guild. This week's online quilting store is called the Sewing Guild, and this is down in the east coast of Canada in Nova Scotia in Lower Sackville. And as you know, I'll be going to Nova Scotia for the Canadian Quilt Show in June. So I don't know if I'll be in the area of Lower Sackville. I'll have to look it up on a map to see if I can get in to visit this store. But in the meanwhile, we can take a look at their website and assess what they may have to offer. So this is their homepage, the Sewing Guild, as I mentioned, and it says new and vintage fabric store with wide selection of fabric, embroidery, notions, and DIY supplies. It looks like they do sell Janome sewing machines as well. And they have these new handscraft wooden puzzle kits. Kind of interesting. This one kind of appeals to me of the old movie camera. That's kind of cool. Something a little different. Dreamcatcher satin, 60 inches wide. Pre-order full bolt for 20% off regular price. This is very, very pretty and has a very indigenous feel to it as well. I especially like this one in the middle. $17.99 per meter. Well, that's not a horrible price. That's a little bit on the lower side as fabric prices in this country go right now. It's really quite nice. I kind of like it. Butterfly satin, 60-inch wide. Okay, so this is not a cotton. This is a satin. Interesting. I suppose you could quilt with it. Now, quilting cottons. Here we go. 100% cotton for all your quilting needs. Solid cotton, printed cotton, wide backing. And then we'll come back to that. Become a member. So $150 individual membership for a year. 1 year access to makerspace includes fabric, notions, use of sewing machines, etc., etc. Maker classes and mentorship are included. So it looks like it's a membership for getting into classes. Here's some more projects. They're talking about sales, different special events, and they have a newsletter, and this is where they're located. Actually, this may be Halifax. Nope, it's Lower Sackville, Nova Scotia. Okay, because I was just looking at the streets called Sackville Drive, but yeah. Okay, let's go back up to the fabric and take a look at that. Here we go. Shop now for the printed cotton. We'll see what they have. Is it going to go to it? Oh, there we go. Okay, so we'll just quickly scan through this. Some interesting printed things. Oh, the one with the cats is cute. And then they have a panel to go with it as well. A lot of novelty fabrics here. So let's see, do they have these organized by, well, all items. So there's 95 things to choose from. Panels, heavy metal. I have some of that fabric. I really like it. Okay, now they have butterfly. You know how I like butterflies. That's that satin again. This is the cotton. Printed cotton. Okay, it's a little confusing the way this is organized. But we browse through here. Okay, $8.99 per meter. That one's $13.99, $18.99 per meter. So the prices vary. It depends on what it is that you want, but not bad. Not bad. In the ballpark, I would say. Lots of very unique prints. But when it comes to, yeah, not my aesthetic, really. That's kind of nice. Their selection looks a little limited, I would say. Maybe they have more in their actual store. I don't know. Okay, so we know that their price range is anywhere from about $12.99 per meter and up. Most of them seem to fall in the $17, $18 range. So what else do they have? They have flannelette, they have batting. Let's just take a look at how they sell their batting. Polycotton batting with scrim, 96 inches. It's in a roll. Okay. So that's a roll of it. $529. That is not a fantastic price. In fact, that's a little bit on the very high side, I would say. What do they mean by vintage fabric? Well, it varies in prices too. I guess it's just the look of it. Okay, not much there to choose from. They have interfacing as well. Notions and accessories. Some bobbins, some vinyl stickers, a lot of vinyl stickers, more vinyl stickers, pinwheel, So Easy Pinwheel Magic Template. Okay, well, not a lot. Not a lot, unless you want a sticker. There's a lot of stickers if you're into stickers. DIY kits and supplies. Miniature house kit. Kathy's flowers. Okay. Linen lavender bags. Some Christmas ornaments. Pin cushions. A lot of pin cushions. Actually, some cute pin cushions, really. Oh, look at the little mice. It's a craft kit. Some books, felt, flowers if you want to make flowers. Yeah, okay. In my way, a lot of cutesy things, but maybe something there that appeals to other people who might like to make those kind of things as gifts or whatever. All right. Now they do have sewing machines. They sell Janome sewing machines and parts. Okay, and they have parts for new and vintage machines as well. Well, let's take a look at their events. Online and in person. They have a charity memory quilt project, drop in and sew, Paisley Place quilt class. Okay, so I'm wondering if you have to be a member, buy a membership to get in these, because I'm not seeing any prices. Let's see, sign up here. No, you don't. There's a discount if it's your first class. Give you the times, $175 for that particular one. Fabric requirement. Quilt kit. Okay, does that mean you have to buy the quilt kit separate? So that's expensive then, that class, $175. Okay, and that looks like about it. Book. Book what? Book your class now online. Okay. Okay, well, my impression of this is I don't think there's any reason for me to order from them. Prices are not sensational. Selection is a little on the light side, I think. Seem to have a lot of little cutesy things. If you're into cutesy things, this may be the site for you. So that's the Sewing Guild in Sackville, Nova Scotia. So that brings us to the end of this episode of the Idiot Quilter. And just a reminder that Stephanie and Stephen's Sew Along is happening tomorrow, Wednesday, February the 12th, starting at 9 a.m. And we're going to continue on with our Sew Along quilt, the Moonstar, which you've already seen on here. And I think that might be one of our last sessions. We'll see tomorrow because we pretty much have worked our way through that pattern. But that's tomorrow, Wednesday, February the 12th. No, February 12th. February, did I say 12th before? February the 8th. I don't know why. I'm thinking a week ahead. I'm all mixed up. Well, It's my usual state, isn't it? Okay, so that's tomorrow. So, okay, don't forget about Pop-Up Sew Day coming up this Saturday, February the 11th, starting at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. And yeah, I hope you have a great week. I hope you're being very creative and do lots of things this month, because that means once this month's over, we're 1 month closer to spring. And I'm sure we're all looking forward to that. Okay, see you next week. Bye-bye.